Hello everybody, this is Pyra, and this morning was Letter from the Producer Live number 85. Now, I was not awake at the wee hours in the morning that Letter from the Producer Live number 88 had been live streamed. However, I still wanted to go over everything, get all the facts and all the details, and provide you with a summary recap here. We are going to be looking at the translations in Live Letters channel in the Final Fantasy XIV Reddit Discord. So huge shout out to them for always providing these fantastic live letter, interview, whatever content translations. They do a really good job. Of course, this live letter was only spoken in Japanese, so it does help immensely for us English-speaking folk to be able to get all the information without having to use Google Translate or something crazy like that. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing that we heard from Yoshi P really is that the majority of the content for patch 7.2, which is really the bulk of what this live letter talked about, is finished. So really they're in a debugging phase. Normal modes of the battle content are finished. Savage just needs minor adjustments, but everything is looking really good. And so we did see right here, we are expected to get this patch in late March 2025, so probably 5 to 6 weeks away. And the patch is going to be called Seekers of Eternity. So very kind of cryptic. I really love the blue and pink, like cyberpunk colors. However, if you look at the images longer, it's a little like spooky cryptic. Like you have this, like Sphene, like kind of crazy looking Sphene over here. You have this character right here with like this wire or tube hanging out their neck. Wook Lamont looks like she's seen some shit. And so just kind of cool, but also like something's brewing. So definitely excited to see what Seekers of Eternity has to offer. Before they really get in the meat and potatoes though of 7.2, they did mention patch 7.18. So that is going to actually be released on February 25th. And really the only big things that are going to be happening there is going to be a weekly lock removal for Savage and Tomes, and then possibly add Echo. So right here it says will lift restriction / add Echo maybe for weekly Tomes and Savage. So we don't know if that's 100% or not, but that is kind of the best info we have at this time. Now the next thing before they also get into 7.2 is addressing one of the biggest topics in the community in the past month or so, which is the Player Scope plugin. So this is a lot more information, I feel, than Yoshi has given us in the past with his forum post. And really, he is just saying that in conclusion, we won't get too much into this rabbit hole, especially because we've already done a whole video on this. But in conclusion, the dev team is not ignoring this. They are working on this. He cannot say how far they're going to go, but with patch 7.2, they are taking steps to counteract this. So it is really good to hear that they have a plan. This is kind of what I was missing personally the last time that he talked about this. This feels a little bit better that there is a plan going forward. And of course, they did get a lot of feedback in the past regarding the new blacklist, and he just kind of justified that this was the best approach they could take to implement that in the moment. So it does sound like they are doing their best to change this around, and it is going to start in patch 7.2. So that makes me feel good, at least for now, hoping that we have a little bit of rectification for the areas, the weak points, I guess, in the infrastructure in the future. And of course, he's saying he's very disappointed that tools like this exist, but they will keep improving on the system going forward, which I completely agree with that. Usual, don't use plugins. So, yep, pretty much everything we said in our last video. So we won't talk about that too much more. But what we will talk about too much more is 7.2 and all the content. We are getting a lot of content. The first is going to be new MSQ. And they provided some screenshots here with some of the things that is going to be happening. Of course, we have Ishtolas coming back in the mix, my favorite, one of my favorite scions, with Wook Lamont, of course, in the background. They showed us some Grahatia Kryl, which not much left, really, it's up to the imagination. And then we see Sveen again. Sveen with Wooklamot, very close, like a hug or something, but very, very interested to see where this is going after the last round of MSQ. Scared, interested, curious, all of it, all in the same one. And of course, Yoshi P said right here, I want you to pay attention to the facial expressions this time. There is a lot. And also, this reminds me of Asahi. I'm both excited and enraged because I hate Asahi, but I like that I hate Asahi because we could get in a rabbit hole about this. Essentially, the fact that I hate Asahi is good writing, and that made me feel good and bad at the same time. So hopefully, hopefully this is in the same vein, but do be aware of the subtle things such as facial expressions in this new round of MSQ. We're also seeing a bit of the cyber kind of tech, probably more into Solution 9, like research, part of the main scenario quest. I don't know what else we'll get here, so a lot left to the imagination, but we will be getting a good chunk of MSQ. And of course, the next thing that we will be getting, the new Allied Society quests, this time with the Mamulja. And so this is going to be for gatherers, so very excited to see that we will be getting some gatherer Allied Society quests, because that is a great way, if you are not someone who has done many Society quests in the past, it is a great way to level up your gatherers, especially if you are not somebody who likes to do much of that on the side, or you need kind of an extra boost. It's a great way to get them from level 90 to 100. And of course, we get a few screenshots in the mix with these Mamulja that we will be seeing. And the next thing that we will also get is inconceivably further Hildebrand adventures. We're going to start getting into actual Hildebrand story, where the last patch we did see a bit of an introduction, kind of like a teaser, and now we're actually getting into the meat and potatoes of what this new storyline is going to be. So of course you see this, not our inspector, but Inspector gentleman there. We get a nice picture of Nashu here. Kind of very like noir detective vibes between this inspector's look, and then now we have this black and white screenshot of Nashu. Very, very noir. I'm getting excited to see where the story's going to go and just the vibe of it. As usual, Yoshi P says it's a bit over the top, so we hope you enjoy. I really would hope for nothing less than over the top when it comes to Hildebrand, so very excited to see that one coming through. This little guy that somehow took the community by storm to the Corn Servant. The Corn Servant is getting more side quests. So if you haven't done the first round, do it. I technically have to finish it. However, I guess they've seen a lot of artwork with this little guy on social media, and the dev team really enjoys them too. So we're getting more Corn Servant. Get ready for more of that. Yeah, more Corn Servant. Don't miss it, I guess. And then next, of course, new tomestones are on their way. New elegant tomestones of mathematics. They joked about it asking you about prime numbers, and if you answer wrong, you'll lose all your tomes. Which to that I say, we're not healed from the last time you did this to us. So don't play on our trauma. No more prime numbers. Of course, that's a joke. But tomestones of mathematics. I'm curious why of mathematics, but I guess we'll probably see. I'm sure it has something to do with everything else, story related, etc. But they've been thinking about the name for a long time, and they thought it'd be causing too much of a headache, but this is the right patch for them. So if it fits, it fits, right? The next thing that they talked about was duty support. So they are going through some of the older content to add duty support in, and this time we are going to get an addition of the Sunken Temple of Karn. So that is something that is great, especially if you are somebody who is in the lower level, or if you just want to go back and do some duty support dungeons. That is going to be another one. Up next is PvP updates. So PvP Series 8 is going to begin, which I'm going to give you a warning right now that if you have not completed Series 7 and gotten your Series 7 rewards, now is the time. We know that this patch is going to be coming out in late March. Give yourself a month to finish Series 7, and I know I'll talk about that in the upcoming patch notes when we get them, but be aware that that is happening in this PvP update. They're thinking about making rewards from past PvP series obtainable again, which is pretty neat because right now it's a system where once the series is over, you cannot get it. So it's kind of neat to think that maybe it's exclusive for a little while, but then it comes back down the road. I think that is a nice idea, especially for people who don't have a consistent subscription or come back to the game, new to the game, etc. It'll give them an opportunity to get some of these rewards. I also skipped this for some reason, but going back to this, the PvP updates that we're going to be getting, of course, Series 8 going to begin, PvP action adjustments as well. I know they keep tweaking the system, so they're going to further adjust some of the PvP actions, and several new PvP actions will be added. So I wonder if that's across the board or just specific classes. And then finally, Frontlines Secure returns with various improvements. And so the screenshot here, a lot of elegant elements. So it looks like it's going to be filled with elegant elements like jump and teleport pads. I am someone who, I like PvP. It's not my favorite piece of thing in the game, but in general, I love PvP games. So I've always wanted PvP in this game to be better. I'm excited to see what this entails, and of course more of these potential like jump pads, teleport pads. I'm excited. Anything that kind of like adds new environments is pretty cool, especially because PvP gets a little stale sometimes. So having this is very exciting. And then of course over here, if you see right up here, this reminds me of Circus Tower, I think Circus Tower is the one where you fight Scylla, and you have to drag the balls into their area in order to set the towers off. If I'm wrong, please tell me. I'm at this point like a senile old 14 player, so sometimes I forget or blend fights together, but that is what this reminds me of. So I'm excited to see what that's gonna mean. It's definitely something new. For sure. They also said right down here, obviously it's not adjustments for the PvP actions. It's not just adjustments for the PvP actions. There will also be PvE action adjustments as well. So not a shock. A lot of these patches, they kind of tweak jobs as see fit, as they've seen people give feedback. So expect your regular battle classes to get some adjustments. We just don't know exactly what yet. And speaking of PvE content, there will be a new dungeon called the Underkeep. They really like keeps this expansion. We got Everkeep, Underkeep, all the keeps. So this is just a slice of the new dungeon. And Yoshi says, I wonder where this is. Cannot tell you why we go there and what's inside. So, of course, this is going to have something to do with the MSQ, but we don't know what yet. And it feels underground. I could be wrong. It kind of feels grungy, undergroundy, but we'll just have to find out. I guess we'll just have to find out. Or maybe it's up. Maybe it's up in the Solution 9 towers. I don't know. I'm very curious to see what this may be. Definitely has some of the Solution 9 vibes. We got kind of this mix between like magical or kind of outer worldly with like technology. So I'm thinking Solution 9 adjacent, but we'll just have to see. And of course, this is some more of the screenshots from the dungeon. Kind of gives Final Fantasy IX vibes from what at least my husband tells me. Alexandria Castle in Final Fantasy IX. So if you're a Final Fantasy IX fan, you'll probably hopefully see some things that are reminiscent of that. And Yoshi also notes that they're adjusting the lighting settings in this one, so the final dungeon may be looking different to this. So kind of neat. It looks like this was clearly a dance hall, but those boxes on the outside, they were surely placed there at a later point. Maybe you want to dance here. Who knows? I mean, or maybe we want you to dance here. Who knows? So are we going to dance? Like, is it going to be one of those dungeons where there's like part of it where we're not fighting and we're doing like random mechanics? If so, I'm excited. Either way, this looks cool. This abandoned mansion, castle-y, whatever. I'm excited. This looks really, really neat. And next up, one of my favorite things to do in this game, we're talking about raiding, and specifically the next tier of the Arcadian raids, the Cruiserweight tier. So I'm excited. I'm a Savage Raider and an Ultimate Raider. This is something that I am super pumped for, and first thing, of course, as we see, is kittens. So I'm personally loving the theme with the Arcadian raids this year, this expansion, and I don't know what's gonna go on with the story, but I'm excited. Even just something small like kittens just makes me laugh. I thought this guy was screaming at us in Raid. Now he has cute kittens around him. I mean, get you a man that can do both, I guess? I don't know. But Brute Bomber with the kittens, didn't expect that, but this is super exciting. Super exciting. This person with the spray can, of course we're talking about rating, but my brain is instantly going, when is this an emote? I kind of want to know, when is a spray can going to be emote? But either way, we get some more screenshots of the normal and savage story. Yoshi P says here, I am interested in comparing how players feel about her now versus how they feel about her after completing the raids. So I wonder, are we fighting her? Are we fighting the Popotos? I don't know. I can't say Lalas always give this kind of vibe or Lala players will get angry, but this is how Lalas look to every non-Lala player. Fair. Absolutely fair. And I think he can say that as a Lalafell player. You know, this is like the most exciting screenshot. This is one of the fights. I am so ready. Like, this is a disco floor? What? So we know it's like got this very over the top. The Arcadian raids have this very over the top situation with like wrestling and like theatrics and all this stuff, and this is no shying away from that. We have these like neon billboards with like dancing and afros and this disco ball and these ropes. And lights. I have no idea what's gonna happen, but I am so excited. Yoshi P is saying that the narrator is going to be back in these raids, a bit more teasing than last time even. So the narrator was definitely funny, especially if you died in certain instances, you would get called out, or get hit, you would get called out. So now we're gonna get even more of that, which I think is fantastic. There will be a lot of map gimmicks in this raid series again, which is going to be a lot of fun. And Yoshi's also saying there is a very speedy fight in this raid series as well. Not saying it's on this map, but there will be one that has a high tempo. So please look forward to that. Now on to the next piece of battle content. We have a screenshot for the new trial. So this is kind of Machine Woman esque. So apparently it is based on Beatrix from Final Fantasy IX, similar to how Otis from the MSQ, the Dawntrail MSQ, was based off of Steiner from Final Fantasy IX. I have not played any Final Fantasy, minus like a few hours of Final Fantasy 16 outside of 14, so I don't have too much knowledge in this realm. However, if you do, and you want to teach me a little bit of Final Fantasy IX, leave it in the comments. I appreciate it. Maybe one day I'll go back, but for now, it is exciting to see this content coming into fruition, and this one is going to be called Recollection, Normal and Extreme. They're saying that some of the mechanics were too difficult in normal mode, so they're taking some out. So it looks like they've kind of started going a little heavy-handed in planning some of these fights, but they are making adjustments as see fit so that it's not too difficult. The next thing we are going to get is new Unreal Trial, Hell's Kier Unreal. So of course this is Suzaku. What this also tells us too is similar to the PvP, get your Series 7 stuff done now. If you are trying to do Byakuya, get that done now, because when we get the new Unreal Trial coming in Hell's Kier, you will not be able to go back and do Byakuya. So if you haven't done it or you want to keep doing it, make sure that you're doing that in the next month, because once this one comes in, you will not go back. I remember... So I'll reminisce just like Yoshi P and Foxconn here. This was a fight. So back in the day when this fight came out, there were so many memes. There were people falling in the middle of the arena because there's kind of that donut hole there. People just getting tossed everywhere left and right and all these things. So I can expect all of the similar memes, to be fair. It's gonna happen. So of course they had their break kind of part way through, because this was a while. They took their 15-minute break. A lot of talking back and forth, nothing too crazy, honestly. But the next piece of 7.2 content they started talking about again was cosmic exploration. Now this is one of the first kind of more casual pieces that we're seeing in a while, and this is honestly pretty dang new. So this is going to be content for crafters and gatherers along the same line as Diadem and Ishgard Restoration, but kind of with a different flavor and hopefully some new things in general. They said that they had a different name for this in development, sort of along the lines of planetary cultivation, but that would also give too much of the island feeling, and of course this is not like Island Sanctuary. This is more towards that like Diadem, Ishgard Restoration, etc. And going through the screenshots, it says right here, collaborate with players from your world as you explore the cosmos in this new activity designed for crafters and gatherers. Discover a new star ripe for exploration in each major patch of the 7.x patch series. So it looks like a new star will be in each major Dawntrail patch, and the community will work together to nurture the developments of planets coming forward. So we're going to be building these bases together, which is kind of neat. And of course, we get to go back to the moon. Or not just the moon, but, you know, outer space, which is pretty neat. And they show some screenshots here. It looks like this is probably the beginning, like before we really start building anything. I do love this, like, outer space vibe, though, and, like, some of these colors. And it's going to be huge. Like, if this is your Worry of Light, looks like it's going to be pretty open landscapes, open maps. Of course, it's different vegetation than what we have on Earth, as they show and as they say. Very like space vibes. I mean, I'm digging it. Something different, something cool. Kinds of gets us back to that like almost Mare Lamentorum theme and vibe, which is pretty neat. And they show some more screenshots here. Very kind of like space tech looking structures already, you know, like you have kind of like the moon drone. So obviously we need to build a base, and there's a lot of screenshots here, so I won't stop at every single one of them, but essentially there's going to have a strong doing it together feeling in this sort of content. There are going to be zip lines? Question mark? We have to build them though, but really different and cool things coming down the pipeline. So he even says here, like, Island Sanctuary was solo content, but this is meant to be done together. You can still do it solo though if you would like. So there is more of a camaraderie and kind of like community building aspect to it. However, you can do it alone. So if you're someone who doesn't want to like do things in parties or with groups, you can still enjoy this solo without having to get into a group. And he says, like, with Island Restoration, it was more of a real-time thing where the progress would show visually for every player there. But for this cosmic exploration, he wants people to be able to look back, even if they start enjoying the content at a later stage. This way you won't miss out on anything. I truthfully love this because one thing that I really hated about Ishgard Restoration was, as somebody who works a full-time job, a lot of what was happening back when that was like the big thing was you'd miss some of these windows, and you like couldn't get on one sometimes. Like sometimes the window of time that you'd be playing was not the same window of time that wouldn't line up. So I'm curious and excited to see that they like mention that, because I think that was really a big downfall of the Ishgard Restoration personally. We also have a look of these big mech suits for gathering. So this is cool. I've been getting into like Gundam games lately, or at least like one that I'm like really loving. So this kind of like Gundam suit gatherer thing is really cool. This is exciting. More details to follow in the next live letter. I love how Yoshi P said too, like, what game is this? This feels very like space. Yeah, like kind of Star Trek glams, kind of not. This is exciting. You see like the very space theme, like you have your ration, of course the coffee kind of like in Solution 9 type vibes, but very, very space, maybe Trekky vibes. And this was really cool too. Like, are these teleporters? Are these like projection pods? I don't know. I think they're neat. I love seeing the Loporrit. I love Loporrits in general and bunnies. So like seeing a lot of this and like seeing our little Loporrit's friends gonna help us through this explorations. As he says here, the Loporrits will support your explorations. I'm super excited. Who better to take us through the space than the space buns themselves? And of course, this one like right here, probably on one of the shards, has the red and blue, unlike the traditional Loporrit, but a lot of people are saying it's kind of like Naming Way. So maybe this is something similar to Naming Way. Probably not Naming Way himself, but something similar. Yoshi even said right here, I don't know what way this is, but please look forward to it. And so now to kind of more of the open battle content again, we are getting new field operations. So this is going to be our third installment of an open exploratory content, kind of like Eureka and Baja. And this one is going to be called the Occult Crescent. So the Occult Crescent, what we know, and he even says here, the third installment after Eureka and Baja, it says right here, in the treacherous waters of the Shades Triangle lies the Occult Crescent, an isle shrouded in mystery. Should you wish to unveil its secrets, you must explore the unmapped terrain and battle against the isle's inhabitants. So it looks like there's battles meant for small parties, larger battles similar to Baja's critical engagements, where a lot of people can queue into the fight together, and another raid for 48 people similar to Delubrum Reginae. There's gonna just be a variety of battle content here, so there's gonna be a little bit of everything. Some of the island screenshots look like pretty calm, though I'm curious, what are these like circles in the sky? This is weird, different, neat. And what are these guys? Kind of like I don't know. And we get some like pretty zones, pretty areas of the map. And then of course we start seeing some of the battles, the fights. This one looks like very kind of like solo bowl things. Of course, we get this Brachiosaurus back again. This is just reminding me of like Eureka 1.0. Or I'm sorry, not Eureka, Diadem. This is like, oof. Diadem is one of the only pieces of content that died. So these guys are giving me slight flashbacks and like trauma, but a little bit about those. And then engage in successive battles with small party of allies. Of course, then we're kind of getting into just different types of mobs and enemies all over the place. Large scale boss battles like we just talked about before, and of course you can see that you're in this ring, so it's not as open world. You kind of get locked in. Same with these. We have a turtle and people being tossed into the air. So I'm curious to see what this is going to entail. It looks interesting. I have a like-hate relationship with this type of content. I love doing it with people. I don't like doing it myself. I hope that this changes that opinion for me, because that hasn't been my type of content in the past, but I know a lot of people have been looking for this. A lot of people put in hours and hours and hours and hours and hours into this, so this is exciting seeing that people are going to get this style content again. It's going to be new. Hopefully there are going to be new things in it. This is going to be part of the 48-player raid, and it looks really pretty. This is really cute. I'm excited to see kind of how this looks. And some of these things, like some of these gargoyles and stuff, are old, you know? It's kind of nice seeing like some old creatures and elements and such come in to new landscapes. It is pretty neat. Nothing crazy, but something new, something different. And now they talk about the leveling system. So unlike Baja, you have to be a disciple of war or magic at level 100. So no leveling in this Occult Crescent. And it says, while exploring the Occult Crescent, players will be able to raise their knowledge level, greatly influencing the outcome of battles against the creatures of the Isle. Kind of curious to see what exactly that means. Going forward, it looks like they're going to have these things called phantom jobs. Looks to be similar to the extra actions found in Eureka and Baja, and you'll equip other Final Fantasy V base jobs to get access to extra actions and traits. This I'm curious about. I don't know if I like it or don't like it. It just is weird to me so far. Again, some of these references are above my head just because I've never played Final Fantasy V. But it looks like you're going to be getting actions in addition to your main job actions. Some examples they have is Phantom Job Monk, gaining access to actions such as Phantom Kick and Occult Counter, improving your offensive capabilities. There's going to be Phantom Job Bard, and they also show Geomancer, Time Mage, Ranger, Chemist, Berserker, and Cannoneer, and more. So that is just a sample, just a small sample of what they're going to be adding. Yoshi P also added notes that just because a job isn't here doesn't mean that it's not possible for them to be added as full jobs to the game later, which is kind of interesting. It doesn't mean that if you see them, we will never see them again. There could be a chance. There's still a chance that something like Geomancer may be added later on as a regular job. And now they also said that the new relic weapons will be tied into this content. They did confirm that it will be tied. No more tomestones turn in this time around. I think a lot of what happened, and I do agree, the relic weapons of past were hard. Some of them were super difficult, had a lot of different levels, so they made them easy by making it tombstone turn-in based, and it was way too easy. Way too easy. So there's finding that it's difficult to find the right balance, and right now they said that they are going back to the beginning. So what if there are Atmas? Well, it isn't exactly Atmas at this time, so it looks like they're trying to redo the relic weapon system in general. They're trying to find a mix, so I don't know how I feel about that personally. I think it's better than having the super easy, like, relic tombstone turn-in kind of thing. However, we'll see. I know some folks that I know, some of my friends, don't like that it'll be tied to this optional kind of content, but I think it's just one of those situations where you have to try it and see how it is, especially if they're kind of redoing it. They're also saying that it'll work similar to previous relics where you can enhance the weapons from doing content inside the Occult Crescent, or you can engage in existing activities. If they do it like they've done before, it'll be kind of like Baja where it's like, or you could do fate grinding, so you do have an option. Of course, last time the fate grinding was not a good substitute, however, you weren't stuck 100% to having to do one type of content if you didn't want to. And of course, that was really a lot of what is the big chunk of the stuff that is happening in Patch 7.2. More details to be announced with the release schedule in the next live letter, which he said he can't say how long it will be. But really, it's probably going to be a much longer live letter. And we'll probably see the trailer in-game footage at that point. We didn't get any of that this time, which totally makes sense. But next time, we will probably need to sit down and do a much bigger watch on what is going to come. And few extra announcements. This is kind of like the not really 7.2, but they always add their little extra things here. The first is this Final Fantasy XIV Instax collab. So of course Instax is part of Fujifilm, and we're getting an emote. We're getting this cute little emote, and this is actually going to come in patch 7.18, scheduled for Tuesday, February 25th. And it's just cute. It's just a cute little crossover emote. Of course, this is part of the emote where it looks like you take a picture on your Instax camera and then you kind of smile after the Polaroid comes out. I don't think it's technically a Polaroid, but whatever this is called, my generation is just a Polaroid. So that comes out. It's cute. It's something. They're like on Collab Central this year, so really free things is not bad. So I'll take it. There will also be a screenshot sweepstakes on X, formerly known as Twitter, to celebrate this Snap Happy collaboration, so keep an eye on that in the upcoming weeks as well. If you are someone who wants to go back to Vana'diel, if you want to go to Final Fantasy XI, now is the time. So Warriors of Light who are subscribed to Final Fantasy XIV can receive a discounted basic service fee for Final Fantasy XI for the next for 30 days, not the next 30 days, but for 30 days. So if you haven't stepped into Vana'diel, if you've been taking a break, you want to go back, maybe you did the Alliance raids, and you're really curious about Final Fantasy XI, now's the time. So further details to be announced shortly. However, that is something coming down the pipeline. Speaking of collabs, Collab Central. This is a Japanese-only collaboration, but it is taco-flavored tortilla chips. Their brand, Don Tacos, celebrating their 30th anniversary, and there's going to be a collaboration set including Tural de Tacos and other flavors. I want to see if there's where to get this in the US, because I absolutely want to taste test it and try it. And of course, they pulled out some of the packaging. Even the box, it has like a Moogle with a sombrero and a mustache and maracas. It is adorable. And then they took out some of the different flavors, all of the crossover flavors. We get our corn servant. So these are just funny. Like, honestly, these are funny. These are cute. I'm just excited to see what that is, even if I can't partake here in the US. What I can partake in, and it's a debate if my wallet can partake in, is the Final Fantasy XIV Black Milk collaboration. So this already started. This already started maybe like a week or so ago, and these are kind of like fashion. This is a fashion brand based out of Australia that is going to be doing this uniquely licensed prints. A lot more feminine clothing, so a lot more like dresses and skirts with tops and like maybe like kind of like short shorts, but it is a really cool collab. I am interested in maybe getting some pieces. The prices range in US dollars between like $80 to $100, give or take, depending on the items, but I believe there are 12 items and they did initially sell out within the first day. However, they are doing a second run of them, so if you buy them within like I think the next couple of weeks, you can get something by middle of April. So that is still going on. If you're someone like me who saw your size sold out within a couple hours, they are doing another batch of production. So please go back and look if this is something you want. And of course, they had a couple of the pieces on screen here. Yoshi P even tried the trench coat out, the beautiful trench coat. And then they had the Eorzean map velvet dress on a mannequin as well. The next thing, one of the last things that they're showing off, is the Primals Live in Japan Darkest Before Dawn live Blu-ray disc and special box. So if you are a fan of the Primals, this was kind of like their 10-year anniversary situation. You can get this whole special box. It looks like it has a t-shirt. Is that a bracelet? I don't know exactly what that is. A couple things here, including a Blu-ray disc, so you can watch their concert that was filmed on September 21st through the 22nd at the Yokohama Arena. So different merchandise if you are really a fan that wants to kind of have that extra something, it's a good opportunity. And that was pretty much it. The last thing that they really said was that the next live letter will be a long one, so be prepared. Most likely before in-game footage from Cosmic Exploration and Occult Crescent. I can also imagine seeing a lot to do with the... Probably not too much with the MSQ, but I can also see us seeing more Arcadian, Cruiserweight, maybe some of the Trial. We'll get a little bit of everything. But for now, that is it. That was a lot of stuff. I tried wrapping that up as shortly as possible, but it's everything that we saw in the live letter that happened earlier today. And thanks for watching, friends. If you want more Final Fantasy XIV news, content, updates, opinions, whatever, memes, etc., hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It means a lot to me and it helps out the channel. I stream multiple times a week, everything from casual content all the way through Savage and Ultimate rating on both Twitch and YouTube. So hang out. We have a Discord. We have a really fun community. Hope to see you there, and we will see you in game. Bye!